Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Review at Rob show. Appreciate you coming over here and hanging out with me, man. Today, be doing a free of spoilers review for the film The Mandalorian and Grogu. We're stepping into Star Wars world, man, as that film did release over the past week as well. I also saw the film Passengers. I'll throw a quick review of that in here on this episode. We're mainly focusing on The Mandalorian and Grogu on this here episode, man. So, without further ado, there's not really much news to talk about, so this might be a quick episode. We shall see how it goes. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this, man. Throw the poster up while I give you some details. The film is rated PG-13 for sci-fi violence and action. It is, of course, classified as a sci-fi adventure action fantasy film and runs in at 2 hours and 12 minutes. So, Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu is the full name of this here movie, man. So, like I said, we're getting back into the Star Wars world in theaters for the first time in a long time. The last film that released for Star Wars in theaters was The Rise of Skywalker back in, what was that? That was 2019, December, if I remember correctly. Yes, December of 2019. So it's been since then 5 years and some change. Since then, since we've had a Star Wars in theaters, man. So it's been that wait and all that stuff. Now Star Wars has not been, off by any means. They haven't, not done anything since that point in time. They have done several television shows, be it whether you like them or not like them. There have been several television shows that have come out in that time period. One of which being The Mandalorian. And the Mandalorian show took off, became very popular. People loved it. They loved what they were seeing with the Mandalorian character. They loved themselves some Pedro Pascal, and of course, they loved meeting the child who we learned to become known as their name, Grogu. We learned the name of the child is Grogu and all that stuff. We didn't call it Baby Yoda anymore and all that. It was the child, and then became known that the name was Grogu and all that stuff, man. So, and then again, that show did successful, ran for 3 seasons before this movie came out, and there was a tie-in with the show, The Book of Boba Fett. Now, leading into this, I binge watched all 3 seasons of said show, The Mandalorian, because I did not watch it when it was live. If you're new here, I'm the worst with television shows, but I did binge watch it. I was having a good time with that, and I was getting excited for the movie and everything. I did a recap. I looked up. Basic information on what happened in the Book of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian, but there's like 3 episodes and all that. Caught up on there, but so I was ready to go into this movie, man, and just kind of excited again. I like the characters that I met going into the movie, and excited to see Star Wars again on the big screen after a long time, as we just talked about. The movie does not take long to get going. It very quickly gets into the action, man. Like, we're not waiting too long to get thrown into the Star Warsy action and all that stuff that's going on in this movie, and just seeing cool things that happen, all that. Obviously, I can't tell you because I don't want to spoil anything, but seeing that happen and seeing the classic Mandalorian stuff you're used to in the television show with the way he battles and all that stuff. Right from the get, and it's pretty action heavy throughout the whole movie, man. Throughout the 2 hours and 12 minutes. With that said, there is a point in time where things do slow down, and there's some emotional stuff going on, emotional aspect happening in the film, which again cannot talk about. But there are those aspects that are in there and all that stuff. We do spend a good amount of time with Grogu in this movie, which is fantastic. We all love Grogu. Grogu is as cute and adorable as always, and just seeing the emotions with Grogu and seeing these other characters that get brought into this, and seeing the way they all work out, and familiar characters from the show and all that stuff, as well as some other characters, and just seeing how it all works out and flows. I think the best way to really like fully describe this movie is it does feel like the show, which is good. Obviously, it gives you that familiar feeling and all that stuff. Obviously, on a bigger, grander scale with more, like budget, you would assume, and all that stuff. But it's, I would say, probably feels like 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, two and a half, maybe even stretch it to 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, processed and put together and all that stuff. But doesn't feel like it's an unnecessary shot. I feel bad saying this, but it doesn't feel like that Moana movie, right? That last Moana movie we got, which we knew was going to be a TV show, and they turned it and fixed it and made it all into a movie. It's not. It doesn't feel like that at all. Like, this movie is very competent of what it is doing. It's very well put together. It makes a lot of sense. It's a fun, action-filled Star Wars movie for you if you want to go in there and enjoy Star Wars. Now, I you know that Star Wars is, a topic that people are very passionate about, and maybe a little too harshly judging on things. I am not in the know with everything Star Wars. I do not know, like, I haven't read the books. I haven't watched every single television show or cartoon or animated this or animated that or anything. I primarily know the movies. I've watched the majority of the shows that have showed up on Disney Plus and all that. I have an idea of the world and everything like that, and I always have pretty much had a good time for the most part. There's few and far between, for me at least, where I haven't enjoyed something while watching Star Wars. I love playing the video games. The Jedi game is a ton of fun, and I just like that world, man. So being able to go back into the theaters and be in the RPX at the Regal and, seeing it on the biggest screen possible and seeing all the Star Wars action going on and, hearing it throughout there and vibrating throughout there, it felt like a fun time. And it was an absolute fun time, man. Like, I had a blast watching this movie, and I feel what they did was very uh, fit very well with what the show was and is. I don't know what the plan is with the show. I have done enough deep dive into if the show is still continuing after this movie or if they're doing more stuff with the Mandalorian and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know the plans. I know there's always kind of some kind of talk around Star Wars, and it just seems to be, continuously pushed back, and they're waiting to see what happens here, what happens there. But for me personally, like the other times I've watched a Star Wars movie in theaters, I had a good time. I felt like they did what they needed to do, all this stuff. And I understand there's, stuff with the other movies that, you can probably, yeah, I don't know. Even then, I'm like, I still, left the theater pretty positively with those other movies, and I left the theater positively with this one. I like what they did. I like what they put together. No credit scenes and all that stuff. I looked it up before I left the movie theater, and they said there was no credit scenes. I did not see any credit scenes when I was there, but great, of course, music and watching the credits and seeing all the people who put the movies together and performed in the film. Great. They did do a cool thing where they put the Mandalorians stunt performers right up there with Pedro Pascal on the top billing, which was really cool, and all that stuff. So I liked my time watching this movie is the best way to put it. Like, I had a good time with it. I like what they put together. I will gladly watch another one if they decided to do another one. Again, I don't know what the plans are in Star Wars world with movies and TV shows and all that stuff. But this guy who, again, not a diehard Star Wars fan, had a blast. Had a good time. And I hope Star Wars fans can get to that point as well, because that's something special to see. Again, something that started back in the 70s to now see what it's become and seeing it on the big screen still, and new stories being created and processed and put through all that stuff. It's a good time. So if you're wanting to have a good time in a movie theater watching a popcorn flick, there you go. Like, if it feels comfortable, it feels like a good time, and it's worth your time for sure. To see that, especially if you're a fan of the show, very much does a good job with the show. Especially, again, I just binge watched the whole show, like all three seasons leading in to watching this movie and all that stuff, and I felt like they did a great job putting that all together and making it work into a movie for sure, man. So those are my quick thoughts on the Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, I teased it earlier. I did see another movie called Passenger in theaters. Let me pull up the information for you. All right, so there is your poster, YouTube viewers. I'll give you some brief details here on the film Passenger. It is rated R for strong violent content, some gore, and language. Film is classified as a horror mystery thriller. We like to call that the trifecta of awesome over here on the Review at Rob show. And it runs in at 1 hour, 34 minutes. So an easy breezy horror film is what you get there. First and foremost, the movie is called Passenger. Going into the movie, I thought it was called Passengers for the longest time. Passenger makes the most sense based on the storyline here. Basic idea is traveling on the road. You've heard these urban legends, folk tales, all that stuff. Traveling on the road at night, you see a figure on the side of the road and all that stuff, or you see a crash, and if you stop for said crash, the figure attaches itself to you, and you're now, being haunted by said passenger. Basically, is the idea of this movie. I unfortunately cannot say that I had as good as a time with this movie as I did with the previously mentioned Mandalorian and Grogu film. There are moments. There are moments. The beginning of the film does set you up very well for what's going on. It's pretty much the trailer for the movie. So if you see the trailer for the movie, it's pretty much the opening of this film itself. But it does a good job of being, in the world that it needs to be in, with the creepiness and the mystery figure on the side of the road that you see, and just crazy stuff happening, and the horror elements and all that stuff happening and all that stuff. Um, like that stuff is fine in the film. Like there's the other moments in there where you're on the road and stuff is happening and right, okay, and that tension that gets built from those aspects. There's a moment in the woods as well and all that stuff. There's just other moments that I just didn't care about and like felt kind of uninterested in. This is one of those movies that could have just very easily been a short film, right? It could have easily been a short film and that would have been fine if they just went that route. But they expanded it out into being a film, a full-fledged film instead of a short film, and it didn't work with me, man. Like I wasn't overly entertained by this movie. Again, there's good moments, we're not gonna poo poo on the film overall, but for the most part I wasn't overly excited after watching this movie. So that's my quick thoughts, is being as positive as possible. I don't like to ever be negative. I try my best not to be overly negative. There are people who go too far with that, but those are quick thoughts, man. So Mandalorian Grogu review and Passenger review for you, both in theaters now to check out. I suggest Mandalorian Grogu. News, not that I've really seen any news to really talk about. We handled a lot of the news last week, last episode. Um, Obsession's still killing it. Obsession's doing great. It is, I think what I read, I don't have it written down with me. From what I read, it took a like a 26 or 27% increase in viewership and has just made a ton of money based on its low budget. And just thinking about how small the budget was for that movie and how good that movie was put together and how good that movie's doing. Hopefully, people understand that you don't have to spend a ton of money making movies, man. Like you can make a really good movie, and Obsession is a fantastic movie that is reaping the benefits for sure right now from just the quality of the film itself and the word of mouth from said film that is going out there and all that stuff. That's pretty much the news I saw. Um, yeah, so there you go. That's gonna do it for this episode, man. So 2 movie reviews for you, and we're gonna get out of here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. As always, like to remind you, you matter. You're capable of incredible things. Keep pushing forward, man. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself some love, and just keep moving forward. And things will work out the way they need to work out for you. But you matter, and we will be back with more movie reviews and stuff to talk about on the next episode.